What is up, guys? Welcome to the weekly wrap. How was your week in trading? If you are playing along at home, I want you to let me know in the comments how you're going. We've had a killer week. We started, when was it? 10 days ago. So we've probably been trading for about 10 trading days now. And we are up. We have finished the week. So we're up 72.12%. The account is sitting on $17,202.46. And we've got about $5,000 in cash, I believe. So we've still got half of our initial capital sitting in cash. So we are in a pretty strong position, I would say. Let's have a look. What is the exact amount of cash that we've got? We have got $5,834 in cash. So we're doing all right. And the rest, the other 12,000, we've got a bunch of positions on, which I'll go through those positions in a minute. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed this week. I think we're almost up to 500 subscribers. So there's 500 of you crazy cats out there watching this challenge unfold. It just gets bigger and bigger each and every week, and the pressure is starting to build. I wonder if I'll be able to trade this account as it grows as easily as what I'm trading it with 10,000, right? Because this is the thing about trading. As the account grows, the consequences for your actions also grow. It's an amazing little paradigm that you are in. One other thing, my YouTube channel, Money Markets and Mayhem, has ticked over to 928 subscribers. So I have got a little request. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button now. I need to get up to that 1,000 follower mark for no reason at all other than I'm OCD and I love even numbers. So let's get me up to that 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And yeah, it's amazing that 500 of you have signed up. No doubt there would have been a few of you who attended the Freedom Summit with Adam Hudson. And please throw in the comments for everyone else to listen to and read. What was your favorite part of the Freedom Summit? Who were your favorite speakers? What were your favorite parts? And where do you think the biggest opportunity for you to create freedom in your life is moving forward? All right, so let's get into the update for the week. I just sent out an email today, so I'll go through the latest email that's gone out. Short term, the biggest question I'm asking is, are we going to get some pain due to macro factors such as debt, currency, and trade? So if you watch my Money Markets and Mayhem podcast that dropped today, I do a long form discussion and I talk about bond yields, I talk about currencies, and I talk about the confluence of things that are happening in macro at the moment that short term could cause a bit of a wobble. Now, it's not my base case. I think the US administration is clearly focused on keeping the stock market, keeping the markets afloat for now. And my base case is we're going to get a bit of a blow off top between now and the end of the year, or between now and the first half 2026. Now, there could always be corrections in between, but these crazy blow off tops are really, really fun to trade because everything moves quickly. So I'm a little bit in the let's make hay while the sun's shining mindset, because we don't know how long it's going to go. And then I'm of the opinion that into 2026, we're probably going to get a significant downturn. So I'd be wanting to take off some risk as we move into that, but I'll keep you posted as we go with relation to that. So, so as an investor, I'm definitely a little bit more cautious here. I'm putting money to work in my long-term convictions. If you look at my top 5 positions, it's pretty conservative. My number 1 position is Woodside Energy by percentage. That's an Australian oil and gas company that pays an 8% dividend. And, I can sell that very quickly if I need liquidity in my everyday life. My second biggest position is my BTC. So it's my Bitcoin hodl stack, which I'm just going to let that run. I'm not going to be trading in and out of that. My third biggest position is STRK, which is the MSTR preferred stock that also pays an $8 a share dividend. That's corrected a bit lately, and I probably should have traded that a little bit more than what I have, but so be it. And now my fourth biggest position, and the thing that I've been growing the most lately, or been adding to the most lately, and will continue to add if it drops, is Meta Planet. So that is my fourth biggest conviction that I'll continue to add to. That's the only one that's really changed at the moment. But I just think as a Bitcoin proxy, Bitcoin treasury space, I think that's the one that is not least risky, because I think MSTR is least risky, but that's the one that I think has the biggest upside and the one that I'm willing to put and bet the most on, given where it is. It's not just starting out on its journey where there's a little bit more risk. It also has the monopoly in Japan, and I think they've got a really, really good management team. So that's a little bit of the high-level macro view. Now, as a trader, I have to respond to what's in front of me, and that's what I said in my email, and that's the paradox. The investor in me wants to wait, but the trader has to act, and for the sake of this challenge, I'm here to move. So I recently added a couple more space companies. Now, I'll be honest, like I said in the email, I have no fucking idea what these guys actually do. I have been watching the charts, and as you can see, with Rocket Lab, we're up 138% on Rocket Lab, right? We trimmed part of that position yesterday, but we're still up 138%. And so I'm playing those space names because at the moment, they're the most crazy, right? And both of those space names recently corrected. You can see here that this black sky technology up all month, and then had a nasty correction. And so I came in today just before close as we kind of reclaimed this candle here. And I'm banking on the fact that this regains some momentum. It might not, and that's a risk, but you can see this is the uptrend in here, and it came back and tagged the track line on the daily. So this is a nice correction, right? And so I've been waiting in some of these names to get in. Now that I'm invested in this name, to determine whether I'm going to have more conviction in it, I'll probably start doing some research over the weekend. The other one that I added today was AST Space Mobile. You can see here as well on the daily, it's just been up and to the right, since April. Since in these crazy markets, if you're a trader, sometimes the logic of the safe names needs to go out the window, and you kind of need to take a bit of a punt and trade the momentum names. That's the kind of trader I am. I'm a momentum trader because I want to get the most bang for buck and the most upside. So here on the 1 hour, that corrected into this here. It touched the track line, and I caught it a little bit late, right? So it dropped a little bit after I purchased it, but that's okay. Let's see what happens. Let's see if this one continues its run. And then you've got Rocket Lab, which had, we bought it down here, had this big run up, had a little bit of a correction. If I was up at that time, I probably would have added there. I wasn't, so I added here on the track line and a little bit of weakness. Let's see what happens. Remember, if all those macro things that I've been talking about play out, these names are going to get hit most, right? These names that have been riding most are going to get hit the most. And so that's why you'll notice that my position sizes on them is relatively small, right? Like 2,000 US, 1,100 US, GameStop and Semler, which I added earlier in the week, were small ads, 900 and 600. And it's funny that they're lower conviction and they're down 13 and 21%. They just haven't been performing that great yet. So for the sake of this challenge and to try and boost the account as quickly as possible, I'm going to chase these high octane rocket fuel type names, but this is risky, right? Like this is real DGen 101 risky stuff, and this is not investing, right? So some of the things that I've got, some of the things I've got in my main portfolio, my investment positions in terms of options. I took you through the main positions in my portfolio before, but in terms of options, my biggest option position is Semler Scientific. That's a Bitcoin treasury company. Rocket Lab is now my second biggest position, and then today I added the Black Sky and Space Mobile as smaller positions, and I also added them in this 10K challenge account. So I'm pretty low risk. At the moment, in terms of options, I'm pretty low risk. And I've got cash, right? My fifth biggest position is cash, right? So I've got cash to play and I've got cash to put into the market should we get a deeper correction, which, you know, I give a 40% chance or a 40% chance to in the near term, even though later on I think we're gonna keep going higher. What else can we talk about? So we can have a little bit of a look at GameStop. You know, this has been a little bit of a dog. You know, there's not much strength here at all. I'm playing this because it was a meme name. It's been beaten up, and I thought, hey, let's see. The volatility is low on this compared to historically. This is Semler. I mean, Semler trades. You know, it trades pretty interesting. It's like up and down, up and down, up and down. So it's on its down leg at the moment, but you know, it's testing its track line. You know, so we might even add to this next week if it continues to drop. The other thing I wanted to do was answer some questions. Let's just before we go and answer some questions, so these trade updates, I'm going to answer all the questions from the week prior in these trade updates as well. And I'm going to try and give a little bit more context to some of your questions. So if you ask questions in these trade updates, you'll get an answer in the following week, as well as possibly in the comments as well. But before I do that, let's just go through and have a look at our positions. And, you know, I really want you guys to pay attention to how the account is structured. All right, so I'm just going to quickly take you guys through the account, given that you don't see this on the daily emails. You only see what I'm buying, what I'm selling, but I'll quickly take you through the account so you can see it for full transparency. Okay, so as you can see, we've just added the AST Space Mobile, 2 contracts, that's 200 shares. It's a decent sized position here. It's up slightly, so we bought that just before close. And these options, October expiry, $60 calls. Black Sky Technology, 2 contracts, so we're controlling 200 shares, a little bit less to get into these options. Down so far, but that's okay. GameStop. Now this is interesting, right? So you can see these strike prices. This is January, so obviously we've got a little bit more time to be right here, and this is October. But you can see that the October option for something that's priced very similar is only $1.29. So we're controlling 700 shares for $1.29. What this basically means is at the moment, this option is unloved. An option price, the premium of an option, is based on the probability that option is going to pay out. So the more probability that's going to pay out, the more expensive the option. The less probability that it's going to play out, the cheaper the option. So at the moment, the market is giving GameStop a very low chance of paying out. And I only put $1,000 down. I'm prepared to lose that if we're wrong. If I see that it's going nowhere, I'll cut it earlier. But the upside, because we're controlling 700 shares, you know, if this moves $1 and this moves $1, the upside on this is 3 times more, right? The upside is 3 times more because we've got 700 shares. So this is why I took this GameStop option, even though I'm not really bullish on it at the moment. Rocket Lab's been a killer. We obviously sold 100 of those shares or one of those contracts, and then we put that money into these other space names, right, to try and see if we can get some more VIG, because these corrected much more than Rocket Lab, and that's why I didn't go back into Rocket Lab in this account, because I'm going for that higher upside. And we spoke earlier about how I chose these names. Semler, very small position it was to start with, because I thought that crypto or Bitcoin would correct a lot more, and it has. And so next week, if that continues to correct, I'll probably increase that position as well. Because Semler, like I said earlier, it's the way it trades is pretty, you know, trades within a range at the moment. That range hasn't broken out yet. Trades within a range, and I'm pretty confident about that range. You know, touches the track line, bounces, then touches the track line, hopefully it bounces as well. And then we've got 5,800 cash in the account. So of that 17,000, nearly 6,000 is cash. So we've still got some dry powder if there's a further correction and we get some opportunities next week. As always, guys, if you think this content could be of value, please share the podcast, or please share the daily challenge emails with a friend, family and friends, and have them sign up too. I'm doing all of this free of charge. I'm not going to be selling anything at the end. But I don't necessarily know if I'm gonna do this challenge again, because it is taking a hell of a lot of work. I'm doing it because I kind of want to get the community going. I want to build this community. I want to build the following. The more following and the more subscriptions that we have on the page, then the more likely I'm able to get great macro guests to come in and speak. And the better the guests, the more that I can continue to educate you guys from professional educators, right? From people who have been doing this for quite a long time and know what they're talking about on their chosen topics. I hope that I can continue to bring you guys in the trenches, operational, executional type value. But I want to start getting some experts on the show to kind of break down these concepts and go a little bit deeper into some of the concepts we're talking about, whether it be options trading, whether it be volatility, whether it be macro. I've got a short list of big guests that I'm sure that you've all heard of that I want to get on the show. And so the more subscribers that we have, the more views that we have, the more chance we've got in those guests on. So to everyone else who is subscribing and watching every week, thank you so much. I'm loving all the messages. I'm loving all the support, and it makes me energized to keep this going. So without further ado, the questions from last week. How do you deal with paying tax on options? I imagine your tax bill would be eye-watering. Yes. Look, the sad reality is if you make money, you have to pay tax. And so the more money you make, the more tax you have to pay. There are some, and I'm not an accountant, so I can't really give financial advice, but there are some I will say that there are some benefits of actually using your self-managed super fund. So transferring your money from your super into a self-managed super fund and trading in your self-managed super fund. Other than different, more advanced strategies, the easiest strategy for an individual is to trade in their self-managed super fund, because that carries the lowest tax rate of individual, trust, company, self-managed super. So the easiest way to deal with tax, or the most efficient way to deal with tax, is to trade in your self-managed super fund. Again, not financial advice. Go speak to your accountant. Did you get a statement of advice for margin lending when you opened your account? I rarely trade margin. I might start messing around a little bit with Dogecoin now that it's in a bull market. IG allows you to play that on margin. I don't like trading margin. I will only use margin on tickers that I understand really, really well how they behave, and I'll only do it in certain time frames, because when you get those left tail events, those black swan events, margin can get super fucking scary. So I try and avoid margin. I like options because it has defined loss. How did you identify Rocket Lab to trade? Why were you tracking it? Just purely price action, or anything you're looking at from a fundamental perspective for Confluence? So with relation to space company Rocket Lab, I've done a fair bit of fundamental research as well as technical research. I was invested in it back when it was $7, rode options up to 17, made about 3x, and then just never got back in because I was busy doing other things. And, it's been awesome lately. So I thought I'd get back in, and you can see why. And, that's the reason I'm choosing those other space companies, from fundamental reasons, for technical reasons. But that's how I start. That's how I start learning fundamentals on companies I like. Just remember, when the bull market is over, these are the companies that are going to get hit the most, because they have that meme retail element to them. What are my thoughts on MetaPlanet here? Strange that it hasn't moved much with Bitcoin. Maybe because the MNAV is too high, and they did run recently. Okay, so MetaPlanet, like I said, is the name that I have the most conviction on at the moment, and that I've been adding most capital to. I think the reason that it has corrected this is threefold. A, the MNAV did run up right? B, there's other treasury companies that pop up that people are rotating capital to. And now you've got Ethereum and the altcoins that are also starting to run. And so that would be taking capital away from Metaplanet. And 3, and the most important reason why I think it corrected is because the Japanese yen has corrected in the last couple of weeks. And it's a Japanese stock priced in Japanese yen. And even though they're trying to collect Bitcoin and do all that, the reality is that when the yen weakens, then the interest for that stock is going to weaken all over the world. And it might not be the price is often affected on the margins. Fidelity is like the number one holder of Metaplanet now. And what that tells me is it's people like me that have trading accounts that are trading that name, right? Traders are trading that name. And so when you have things like that happen, traders will, in the short term, allocate elsewhere. And I think that's what's happening. And, the lower it goes, the more I'm going to continue to add, because that's how I want to play. That's how I most want to trade Bitcoin, medium term, because that's where I think I can get the most juice. I'll keep adding to Metaplanets. Hey, Mark, so with the call option, are we just buying a place in the market on that particular share to buy in full when the option expires? So we buy 100, buy in at 100. We have 3 months to take up that option to buy. If it goes to 150, we close, take the profit. Look, I'm not buying options to exercise. I'm purely buying options to trade the directional moves at the moment. But if you're long-term bullish on a certain stock, then you can trade all different kinds of options to try and improve your average spot price, right? Covered calls, sell puts, sell calls, etc. Just on that, a lot of people are asking, how do we get started with options? This is what I would do. I mean, it depends on your level of investment expertise as well. Like, you really want to be familiar with how to put on a buy and how to put on a sell. You don't want to go straight to options before learning how to buy or sell something in the market. But let's assume that you know how to buy or sell. What I would do is I would pick one company that you love long-term or hate, right? If you want to go trade against it, I would pick one company and I would try and experiment with the different options for that one company, calls, puts, etc. And I would just use it. Instead of trying to learn everything about options, I would learn how you can use options to improve your position in that one company. So pick one company, talk to ChatGPT, say, this is my company, and based on price charts, where it is currently in the market, I want to use options to try and increase my the amount of this one position that I own. So I'd stick to one company, I'd learn how that one company trades, and then I would learn how to use options around that one company and just go really, really slow. That's how I would teach myself options, and that's how I did teach myself options. I spent the first 6 months trading options so I've only been trading options since June 2024. And for the first 6 months, I basically traded Tesla. Like, that was it. I put 50,000 into an account, AUD, and I was basically just buying Tesla options. And then as I started to get more familiar, I was adding Rocket Lab and things like that. But I started with one company, Tesla, a name that I had conviction in. Tesla had corrected from like 400 down to 145, and I started buying call options on that name. And so that is what I would do to learn options. I'd pick one name that you have long-term conviction in, potentially look at long-term options to give you more time to be right, because options, the most important thing is timing. And timing, I think, is the most important thing in investing. Next question. Can you tell me what hours you are online to do your trading? Would you suggest I wait until you buy into the next lot of options to commence following you and leave the current trade options alone? I found out about you on Unemployable, which I really enjoy. So well done to you guys for getting this up and running. I get up at about 4:30 a.m. and at the moment, with daylight, the time zones the way they are, the market closes at 6, so I'm trading up until 6. I think the last hour of trade is the best. It's when the pros trade. The first 20 minutes I stay away from, because I think it's when retail FOMOs into things and things like that. Look, I don't recommend anyone follows my trades. But if I was following someone's trades, what I would do is if that person put on a trade and then the next day I see it because I see it the next trading day and it's gone up, I wouldn't be touching it. I would, if I was following someone's trades and I was interested in the things that they were interested in, I would wait until they put on a trade that goes against them, and then I have a better entry, right? So I would potentially look for better entries. I don't know how to answer that because again, these are not recommendations to buy. I would stick to things that you have conviction in only, and that's why I'm trying to choose, a range of different companies so that you can see that this works across all industry. But I would look at the signals of potentially what I'm doing and then apply that to your own investment ideas. That could be a better way. I know I've got some friends that are going to start mirroring my trades, but just do so with caution. But if you can get a better entry than I did, that's probably good for you, right? Yes, if you want to execute options at expiry, you have to have the capital. It's all overwhelming. Can you please share the platform and how to buy? Again, choose one company, open up a trading platform, and ask ChatGPT to guide you slowly and step by step on how to put on trades. It's guys, that's how I started. I literally said, ChatGPT, how do I put a call option? This is the platform I'm using. What buttons do I press? How do I set bids? Every little step of putting on a trade, I asked ChatGPT to help me, and I basically self-taught myself how to do this. No one taught me how to do it. What's the logic of buying short-term options when the decay is exponential in the last 30 days? Yeah, the shorter the option, the more risk and the more that the trade has to go in your favor quickly and it has to move quickly, but also the cheaper the option because of the time decay and the amount of theta that the option has less left. So if you've got a short-term view, short-term options will give you more VIG, more upside. All right, I think that's it. That's all the questions. This one went way longer than I thought. I hope you guys are finding the content entertaining. I know that I'm probably not the most entertaining speaker. I'm probably not the best teacher either. But hey, I'm sharing a journey that hopefully can light a spark for a few of you, and it leads you on the path of understanding these things in a little bit more detail. So again, always throw your comments in the comments, and I will see you next week. Have a great weekend. Touch some grass, turn off those screens if you get a chance. Catch you later.